We got our windows down, driving down the 405, sing along to the radio. We're gonna make it someday, nothing's gonna get in our way. We will be the biggest band in town. Round and round the world we'll go, putting on the greatest show. So make sure that you don't miss out, just be there. We're taking our shot, bring what you got. We're going all the way to the top. We will hear the sound of 1 million people screaming our names when we're backstage. We'll play loud, surfing the crowd. Everybody's jumping around. Yeah, that's the place where I wanna be. Going on stage, headline on a Saturday night. Oh, 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 Saturday night. Oh, oh, oh. I'm gonna quit my job, never wanna have no boss. I just wanna play my rock and roll like they do on the radio. Tommy's got brand new drums, and I still have my old guitar. And John said this next song's gonna be real good, if you know what I mean. Round and round the world we'll go, putting on the greatest show. So make sure that you don't miss out, just be there. We're taking our shot, bring what you got. We're going all the way to the top. We will hear the sound of 1 million people screaming our names when we're backstage. We'll play loud, surfing the crowd. Everybody's jumping around. Yeah, that's the place where I wanna be. Going on stage, headline on a Saturday night. Oh, 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 Saturday night. Oh, oh, round and round the world we'll go, putting on the greatest show. So make sure that you don't miss out, just be there. Oh, just be there. We're taking our shot, bring what you got. We're going all the way to the top. We will hear the sound of 1 million people screaming our names when we're backstage. We'll play loud, surfing the crowd. Everybody's jumping around. Yeah, that's the place where I wanna be. Going on stage, headline on a Saturday night. Oh, 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 Saturday night. Oh, oh,
What is up, guys? Alex McDonald in Atlanta, joined by a couple of special guests tonight. We've got from the Brushfire Mind, Big Chris Lowry. What's going on, Chris?
How you doing, sugar?
I'm doing great. And Chris's partner from the Brushfire Mind, and you'll remember Cameron from our election night show, Cameron Anderson. What's going on, Cam? With his big head right in the middle there. It's good to see you.
That's right. That's right. I do have a big head. Ask my ex-wife. She will tell you.
Yeah. Special edition tonight. You know us. We go live Mondays and Thursdays. You know these guys. They go live every weekday morning. And today...
Yeah, I already did a show today.
Yeah, today, coincidentally, was Firearms Friday over on the BFM. And we got some firearms news that broke this afternoon. Hence, we're going live tonight to talk about it. Donald Trump issued an executive order today relating to the Second Amendment, and we're gonna go through the EO. We're gonna dissect it, talk about. We're gonna put on our wishful thinking hats and see what pipe dreams we can come up with related to this. But yeah, we'll see. However, before we get into that, obviously, if you're watching live, jump into the live chats either on Facebook, X, or Rumble. Jump into the live chat. We get your comments over here, and we can highlight them. That comment guy says special guests, most certainly. Who is that comment guy? Who knows?
That's the Hammer.
Is it?
I won't
Steve?
out him on. I won't out him on live.
Oh, okay.
Oh, see, I was just going to say the Hammer.
That's the
We
Hammer.
all do.
Yeah.
That's the Hammer.
That's a name I have not seen for the Hammer. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. But yeah, jump into the comments. Before we get into the EO, I got a little treat for you too. A little treat, a little internet treat, a little internet. Yo, you're gonna love it. It's a little internet treat. It's well, I mean, it's the best of the internet, quite frankly. Where can I go for this? Hold on one second. I gotta find the right button. Let's use this one.
Button. Who's got the button?
This is on X. This is from the account Not Jerome Powell. Well, I mean,
I gotta say, I'm very proud of AOC that she appears to have chosen to keep the baby.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this already?
I have not.
No? Okay.
Oh,
Okay, good. You haven't seen this already. For every 100 likes, I'll make AOC fatter, he says. And the likes came flooding in. It has 94,000 likes so far. So, 100 likes. 200 likes. 300 likes. Fuck off.
Oh, God.
400 likes. There's 500. There's oh God, that's a nightmare right there. 600.
Oh God! By the time we get, I was about to say,
I was
going to
say, how big
now
is
she can't get in an Uber?
How big is she going to be by the time it gets to 64,000? This one is perfect. That is just amazing. I don't know. I don't know what AI came up with that, but it's just brilliant. There's now they're just going to start getting a little bit weird. Here you go. There's AOC's future right there. There's Jabba AO the Hutt right there. It's just, oh Jesus Christ. It's I haven't watched any of these videos, and I'm probably not going to play any now. There's an angry, apparently, Elizabeth Warren / AOC right there. Oh, there it is. AOC the Hutt. It's just, I wanted to, X is a gold mine. It's a gold mine for good stuff. I thought you guys might get a kick out of that. I had to share it. It's just funny.
So, Alex, a week or two ago, I was doing a video where I was talking about some of the confirmation hearings, and I tried to use Grok to do some of the images for it, and I successfully did. But
yeah,
I asked it for an image of Mazie Hirono looking upset, and it gave me this kind of. It almost looked more like Tulsi Gabbard, and I told Grok, I was like, no, this image is incorrect. Mazie Hirono is overweight. So I need you to generate a correct image. And Grok, of course, said, I cannot do that because I can't generate offensive or, insulting parody, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, no, you can do this. Mazie Hirono is overweight. This person actually is overweight. It's a factual statement. You will not be violating the terms and conditions. And it said, oh, okay, I understand. And then it generated the image. And in the image, she looked like the rapper that can't get in the back of the Uber. And I immediately replied to Grok. I was like, whoa.
So
I said, she's a little overweight, not moribundly obese. What are you trying to say here, Grok?
That's funny. So that's all you have to do to get past Elon's censorship is say, yeah, no, you're wrong. Make the image. That's amazing.
Incidentally, the same thing works with ChatGPT. I use both of them back and forth to do descriptions, videos, that kind of stuff.
I use,
and I'll say, no, I'm talking about factual news, and then I'm going to express an opinion about it. You can absolutely report on that. Oh, you're correct. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding.
I use ChatGPT for show descriptions because ChatGPT has memory, so that goes from session to session. So I started off by telling it, hey, this is our show. We're the hosts. These are the days we go live. And now all I tell it is, hey, give us a promo for tonight's show. We're discussing this, this, and this. And it throws it all together for me. It's pretty it's pretty clever.
I do the exact same thing. I use the voice mechanism with it. I just sit here and talk to it and tell it what to do. And I've done it enough times now that it's even gotten to the point that on Fridays I say, good morning. Good morning, Ava. What's what's on the docket today? Oh yeah, Christopher, it's Brushfire Minds Firearms Friday. And
nice.
She even knows that the descriptions should always start with support the show.
I'm sorry,
www.buymeacoffee.com.
Are you calling ChatGPT she?
Yes.
Have you named ChatGPT? Is that like an actual thing you can do?
I call her by the name of the voice that I selected.
Oh, I gotcha.
But she responds to it.
AOC's been appearing extra busy these days. A Pelosi maneuver or baby on board. Did you guys open the link I sent you?
Which
yes.
link?
For the comments. Do me a favor.
For the comments?
Yeah,
yes.
Click on a comment, see if they come up on screen for you. Yeah, I'm assuming that was one of y'all.
That's me.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if you guys see a comment, you
do I have to unclick it to take
no,
it?
It will go away after 20 seconds, but you can click it a second time to get rid of it. So yeah, with you have the great power of being able to highlight comments on screen just by clicking on them remotely. So enjoy that. Nice. Yeah. All right, let's dig into this. Well, yeah, actually, let's say hi to some folks. The Hammer, what's going on, bud? Richard Bradshaw, how you doing, Richard? Good to see you. The sun never sets on American exceptionalism. That's a hell of a name.
What a name. Yeah, what
absolutely.
a name.
But thank you for being here. Rod is here. What's up, Rod? There's Jim. What's up, bud? Or Sergeant Major. Sorry. I'll leave Chris. I'll leave that for Chris. I'm going to say Jim.
He's good to go.
Yeah. Jump in the comments, say hi. Not many people watching at the moment because, like I say, I never go live on a Friday night. People aren't used to this. But let us know where you're watching from. Let us know the platform and where in the world you're watching from.
Now, Alex, Sergeant Major, you got to come out and see us sometime. His Majesty took some of his buddies out fishing yesterday and snatched 100 pounds worth of catfish up out of Sinclair.
Nice. Did they really?
Oh, yeah.
There's Jim and Jess watching in Wisconsin. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. All right. So, yeah, Donald Trump's executive order on the Second Amendment. We're going to take a look at it, read through it real quick, and then discuss it. This came today. Protecting Second Amendment Rights, an executive order from February 7th, 2025. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1, Purpose. The Second Amendment is an indispensable safeguard of security and liberty. It has preserved the right of the American people to protect ourselves, our families, and our freedoms since the founding of our great nation. Because it is foundational to maintaining all other rights held by Americans, the right to keep and bear arms must not be infringed. Section 2, Plan of Action. Within 30 days of the date of this order, the Attorney General the Attorney General shall examine all orders, regulations, guidance plans, international agreements, and other actions of executive departments and agencies to assess any ongoing infringements of the Second Amendment rights of our citizens and present a proposed plan of action to the President through the Domestic Policy Advisor to protect the Second Amendment rights of all Americans. In developing such proposed plan of action, the Attorney General shall review, at a minimum, 1, all presidential and agencies' actions from January 2021 through January 2025 that purport to promote safety but may have impinged on the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. 2, rules promulgated by the Department of Justice, including by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, from January 2021 through January 2025, pertaining to firearms and or federal firearm licenses. 3, agencies' plans, orders, and actions regarding the so-called enhanced regulatory enforcement policy pertaining to firearms and or federal firearms licensees. Number 4, reports and related documents issued by the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. 5, the positions taken by the United States in any and all ongoing and potential litigation that affects or could affect the ability of Americans to exercise their Second Amendment rights. Number 6, agencies' classifications of firearms and ammunition. And 7, the processing of applications to make, manufacture, transfer, or export firearms. Section 3, implementation. Upon submission of the proposed plan of action described in Section 2 of this order, the Attorney General shall work with the Domestic Policy Advisor to finalize the plan of action and establish a process for implementation. Section 4, general provisions. Nothing in this order should be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department, agency, or head thereof. That's the boiler print.
Yeah, it's very boilerplate.
So this executive order doesn't change anything as of yet, but it has some far-reaching implications, and that's what I wanted to talk about tonight.
So, Alex, funny, you sent me the message. Hey, you want to do a show about this executive order? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I was out. I was out playing with my kids all day. I didn't actually know about this. Right, took the kids to. We went and played cards and went out to lunch. And, the first I heard of this was about a little over an hour ago when Alex asked me if I wanted to come on the show and talk about it. So I just read the executive order right after he hit me up. And by and large, if this were any other president, if I had read the executive order I just read, especially with the boilerplate, and especially with AG Pam Bondi, which we'll get into in a minute, I'm sure. If it were any other president, I would say this is a big nothing burger, because what it says is, I want a committee. Recently, O'Keefe got one of those whistleblowers to talk about, okay, here's how we're going to slow down the Trump administration. Every time RFK Jr. asks us to do something in Health and Human Services, we're going to tell them, okay, we're going to bring together, we're going to establish a committee to conduct a study, and we'll get back to you when we complete the study. And then the study takes 4, 5, 6 years, whatever. It's a stalling tactic. Mm-hmm. But this is Donald Trump. And so if you see Donald Trump say, hey, I want you guys to go look into something and come to me with a plan of action that I can implement. Let's see, we're 15 days in and he's fired half the government. So I've got high hopes.
So do I. And I know why they're doing it this way. The president, even though he's the chief executive, the president doesn't have the authority to overrule one of these so-called independent agencies like the ATF, right? but the Attorney General does. So
Actually,
go on.
So any of these agencies, especially law enforcement agencies like the ATF, they fall directly under the president, directly under the DOJ, which is directly under the administrative. Remember, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is not part of the judiciary. It's subordinate to the executive. So Donald Trump has a great deal of authority and power to control the activities of, let's say, for example, the ATF. A great example of the exercise of the president's authority through the executive orders in this regard, you go back to the Obama administration and the creation of the DACA program, which was shoehorned in by Barack Obama using executive orders to instruct border and law enforcement to simply not enforce immigration law.
Well,
right. So Trump could just say, hey, ATF, you're no longer allowed to deal with firearms at all.
You have to remember, Obama didn't direct border and border, whatever it was called back then, directly. He instructed his attorney general. They fall under the purview of the AG. And that's why he can't simply, Donald Trump can't simply, I'm going to jump into some of the issues, I guess, that would be affected by this. Donald Trump can't simply write an executive order saying the pistol brace ruling is hereby thrown out, right? He doesn't have that authority because it was created by an independent agency with independent authority that supposedly went through the correct constitutional procedure, even though that's been, it's already been knocked down by one of our higher courts.
Chevron doctrine has been completely neutralized.
There's a whole bunch of, here he's directing his agencies to create a report, which he will then present to the Department of Justice, i.e. Pam Bondi, and then he'll tell her, okay, this is what we're going to go after. So the question now is, what do they go after between 2021 and 2025? I can think of a whole list of things. Pistol braces, number one.
Oh, yeah.
That was a concoction of the Biden administration.
Well, and the backdoor registry that came with it, like you have to admit to having a pistol brace in order to ask for your license to having a pistol brace.
Yes. Well, and talking of backdoor registry, all the expansions to the FFL reporting requirements, which absolutely created an illegal registry in the United States. I don't know if you know many FFLs. I know a number of them. And they've all been subjected to greatly enhanced inspection by the ATF over the last 4 years, to the point where prior to the Biden administration, their ATF inspections would come maybe once every 4 or 5 years, and the ATF would come in and it would take them, it would be less than a day. Whereas now the ATF are coming in and it's taking them a week to go through the books and records of these FFLs. And they are copying and taking the records with them, which is, it's a violation of the law. But that with Joe Biden's expansion of licensee requirements, they've been able to get away with it.
There was also a whole bunch of stuff going on under Biden where the ATF was just straight canceling people's FFLs.
Oh, yeah, a bunch of them.
Shutting them down.
Yeah, hundreds.
And when that happens, right, so the FFLs are required to keep a record of everybody they've sold firearms to and all of the NICS applications that they filled out. So what's been happening basically until November of last year is the ATF was coming in, shutting down these FFLs, shutting down their businesses, and then confiscating all their records.
Yes.
And that's the other piece of the backdoor registry that y'all are talking about as well.
It's been tough. Hundreds, but actually in the thousands of FFLs have had their licenses stripped from them under Joe Biden. So we got pistol braces. We've got the expansion of licensee requirements, which the EO gets into. Binary triggers are going to be covered under this because that was another Biden administration era illegal regulation. We're going to be looking at ghost guns. The historic tradition of manufacturing firearms, right? Which has never been considered illegal until Joe Biden's administration decided they wanted to go after, they call them ghost guns, 80% lowers, manufacturing of firearms, whatever you want to call it. They said, well, you got to get an FFL, and then refused to issue any FFLs, which is it's an amazing loophole. That is the gun show loophole right there. Not it's the fact that they tell you, no, you have to have an FFL now to manufacture your firearms for your own personal use, but we're not going to issue you. Yeah, we're not going to issue you an FFL. There's your fucking gun show loophole. There is a lot.
Dexter Taylor and Judge Darkey.
Yeah, there is a lot for this current administration to dig into to try to fix. And I say it goes further than that. Someone in the comments said, that comment guy said, when was the last time you heard about the ATF doing anything with alcohol and tobacco? It needs to be disbanded. Yeah, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, that needs to be the name of a chain of convenience stores. It does not need to be a government agency.
Yeah.
It needs to be shut down. It needs to be shut down. Do we think that that's Trump's goal here?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's not
absolutely.
It's not just Trump's goal. Like he didn't come to this on his own. Many of his strongest supporters, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the key sponsors of the current bill to abolish the ATF.
Right.
But there are several congressmen and senators who are putting forward the bill repeatedly. And, without Donald Trump as president, and I don't mean in the hypothetical that he lost the last election and we ended up with Vice President spit roast for the next 4 godforsaken years. But even if we had a different Republican, I honestly don't have any real confidence that legislation could move forward. And you're going to see Republicans push back and vote against it. One of the things that we've got to stay on shows like these, and whenever we're going to GOP meetings or just talking to people in public, is if your congressman, if your senator is not absolutely lockstep with the Trump agenda, he's got to go. Yeah. Because out of step with the Trump agenda means that he's supporting U.S. aid, he's supporting the remainder of the ATF, he's pro IRS, he's pro welfare, he's pro national debt.
So what now, Cam?
No, I was just making the joke. They'll get the Scott Pressler treatment if they're not in lockstep with Trump.
I gotcha. Yeah, and as they should, and this is where any president in this right now, Donald Trump, this is where his hands are tied, right? Is inaction by Congress. There are many things we need done. Yes, he can address the regulatory rules that were imposed during the last administration, that were imposed absent any legislation. So pistol braces, binary triggers, ghost guns, the licensing requirements, things like that. He can have his attorney general address those, but without legislation, they're simply temporary, because the very next president can undo everything, just like Donald Trump is about to undo everything that Joe Biden did. Absent legislation, we're left in limbo, right? I have no idea right now whether let's assume I have an AR-15 with a pistol brace on it. I don't know right now if that's legal or not. We have the courts that have issued nationwide injunctions staying the order from the ATF. But then we have the ATF just last week or 2 weeks ago coming out and saying, yeah, no, we're going to enforce the rule regardless of what the courts have said, because, I mean, this is what bureaucrats do. They don't care about what the actual law of the land is. They're going to do what they believe is right. This is why we need legislation to shore these things up. the one piece of legislation we need is abolishing the NFA. I don't even care if we get rid of the ATF. If we abolish the NFA, it makes the ATF toothless anyway.
I would agree with that. When I first heard this, and I think a good place to really start, at least from my thinking, is there was a lot of consternation with Trump appointing Pam Bondi as AG because she has supported red flag laws in the past. And a lot of people looked at her sideways, and rightly so. And I think part of what Trump is doing here is very deliberately signaling, no, I'm her boss, and she's going to, this is how she is going to run things. And he's getting, and I'm suddenly blanking, but I feel like he even gives her 30 days. Like, no, you got to come back to me in 30 days with a plan about how we can stop infringing on the American people's rights to own firearms. Mm-hmm. So I think this is an optics thing. And I also think that one thing that Trump is really good at is he'll walk in and he'll say the emperor has no clothes. And then it kind of makes it safe for everybody else to go, actually, the emperor doesn't have any clothes. So, and I think this is a combination of letting everybody know, hey, I'm Pam Bondi's boss. Don't worry. I'm not going to let her go off the rails the way some of you were worried about. And he's being the lightning rod. He knows that this is a big issue for a lot of his supporters. There's a lot of people that were really disappointed with his bump stock ban in his first administration. And so he's deliberately blazing that trail, saying, nope, we're charting a different path. It didn't work the last time. I learned my lesson. And so this is where we're going with it. Yeah, that was the impression I got from the executive order.
Yeah. I hope that's correct. I hope that's right. I think he's going to who was it? It was comment guy asked, why not start around, say, 1936? Because legislatively his hands are tied at the moment. So all he can address is bureaucratic regulatory rulemaking. Now, I'm sure there are some bureaucratic rules that have been on the books since prior to 2021, and I hope that they decide to go back and take a look at those. And I have a feeling that this portion of the order might relate to some of that. The positions taken by the United States in any and all ongoing and potential litigation that affects or could affect the ability of Americans to exercise their Second Amendment rights. What that says to me is that if you have an issue with a rule that was made in 1970, bring a lawsuit against the federal government, then we'll be able to take a look at it.
He's opening the door.
Yeah, that is an opening to people like the Second Amendment Foundation. I would say the NRA, but they're not doing a whole lot legislatively these days. It's the Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America. It's those guys that are doing all the work here. But that may explain, comment guy, why they haven't gone back to, say, 1936. They may need a little help to get there. And that's where our gun rights advocacy groups come in, I think.
Well, part of this executive order, I mean, he's kind of making a nod to the Hunter Biden pardons, because of course Joe went back and pardoned Hunter from basically a couple of months before he went to work at Burisma through the entire period of suspicious activity. Right. So Trump has just said, okay, I want you to look at everything from January 2021 to January 2025. That's from the time Biden took office to the time he left office. We want to take a close look at everything that infringes gun rights in that administration in particular, right? And so for that reason, I suspect that this is just kind of the jumping off point. There's lots of other stuff that needs to be looked at, but I can build I could do some intelligent political campaign building heading into the midterms, because y'all, let me explain something to you. The midterms, right? The campaigns for the midterms started last November.
Right.
Yes, they did.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you. I believe this is a jumping off point. I think he's going about this the right way. Instead of just flexing his muscles and laying down a rubber stamp, he's put together a plan of action. I'm not sure who's been advising him on this, but I imagine it's some of the aforementioned gun rights advocacy groups that have been fighting these legal battles and winning these legal battles. Thanks, obviously, in great part to the makeup of this administration. Oh my God, of this Supreme Court, sorry. Oh my God, what if Trump got 2 more of those this term?
And there's a solid chance
there's a good chance he'll get at least 1.
Be careful what you wish for, because the one he might get to replace might be Clarence Thomas.
Right.
And buddy, if I could put my hands on the cure for mortality, that brother might be the first one I shot up.
Yeah, Thomas.
One great big fat syringe in the neck, and
Thomas
keep him ticking for as long as we can.
Yeah, Thomas and Scalia. He would have been nice to keep around for a good long time.
He'll be our Black Ginsburg.
Right. But fingers crossed it's some leftist on the court that decides they want to either retire or something like that. I'm not going to wish death upon anybody, obviously, but hopefully Trump has the opportunity to add at least 1 more to the court. It'll just lead to a bunch of calls for court packing by the left, but hey, you know what? Fuck them.
I think Tim Pool's right on this one. This is one where we should really give it up to the left and just be gracious in victory, not be vindictive or cruel to them, and just go ahead and say, you know what, guys, we get it. You tried, right? You got whooped. I know it's hard to get whooped, so we'll make this concession. We'll go ahead and expand the court to 13 justices. We'll do that for you right now, while Donald Trump
is president. Yes. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned he's doing this the right way. I think part of the reason why he's doing it this way and he's deliberately filtering everything through Pam Bondi is the one thing that she's not is dumb. She does know the law. She is intelligent.
Right.
And they've already found judges that are temporarily delaying the federal buyouts, for example. So 20,000 federal employees have already accepted their buyout offer, and now a judge has put that on hold until at least Monday. So anything that's going to happen with gun laws is going to, just like we've got guys on our side that are locked and loaded and ready and waiting, they've got guys on their side just as locked and loaded and ready and waiting.
They do. And the beauty is they've been losing left, right, and center on this because of Bruin. They've been losing, consistently. They've had a couple of wins where, quite frankly, bad facts made for bad law. It was Rahimi most recently when Rahimi went to the Supreme Court. Rahimi was a domestic abuser. He'd done drive-by shootings. He was a piece of shit that was arguing that his Second Amendment rights had been violated because he was prohibited from possessing a gun because of domestic abuse convictions. That went to the Supreme Court, and it went down. Danny and I discussed it. It went down exactly the way I predicted it would. Once these judges hear bad facts, they're going to create bad law. And so they manipulated the historical. Bruin requires a historical analog for any new gun laws, right? And they watered that down greatly. They said, well, it doesn't have to be an analog. It can just be relating to, so to speak. So now the government's using ridiculous examples of, say, insurance coverage from the 1700s and trying to compare it to gun laws. They're making some ridiculous stretches. But we've been lucky. We've been lucky so far with these decisions.
Well, what I was driving at is because there will be some changes that are made somewhere, and there will be pushback to these changes. And I actually think that this is a pretty smart move on Trump's part, because it's going to force the left to show their hand at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes time to actually have the real fight, we'll at least have some kind of idea about what strategy they're going to use to try and push back.
I have a feeling the strategy, I think we know the strategy they're going to use, because they just elected that Parkland faggot to be their vice chair.
Right. Yes. David Hogg. Got to care about our young people.
I think it was Ben Shapiro started calling him Stickman Hogg.
I mean, the guy's a piece of work. He's not gay, I don't think. I just call him a faggot because he's a faggot. And I'm not a fan of the guy. But the fact that they elected him as their vice chair tells us exactly the path they're going to take with gun control. It's going to be a burn it to the ground approach. There's going to be nothing nuanced about it. If they're willing, even David Hogg himself, on his own X account, Twitter account, says that he's political cancer. Anyone that aligns themselves with him is effectively giving themselves political cancer. He knows it. It's just, that's his approach to this. It's a no holds barred, burn it to the ground, violence at all costs approach. He's a piece of shit.
The last couple days, the lefties have, especially the talking heads on the you said funded networks, have been losing their minds over the Doge team. That are all like 19 to 24, 25.
Yeah,
right.
You got young kids stealing your social security numbers.
They don't know nothing. These are accomplished technologists, skilled technical hackers. I mean, these guys know their shit, right? These are guys that Elon Musk said, "Oh no, these guys are smart. And you got these Dems that are bitching and moaning about, but they're so young." I'm like, now hold up. Aren't you the same people that have spent the last several years? When was Parkland? Well, Parkland was 11 years ago, wasn't it?
No, I don't know.
It's been a
while. He's been profiting off the deaths of his classmates for over a decade. Yeah.
But you got him. You got Greta Thunberg. How dare you? Yeah. You've stolen my planes.
Oh, hold on.
Right. Singing her lips in them wubbies like she's from East Germany. Flipping, they are the party of worshiping vapid, ignorant children. Yeah. And they're pitching a temper tantrum over Elon using some young guys. Yeah. So yeah, it's absolutely just political cancer that they put David Hogg up as the DNC co-chair.
I used to have that soundbite, and now I can't find it. I used to have Greta.
How dare you?
Yeah, there it is.
How dare you?
I was going to say, I used to have that on my soundboard, and I still do. Oh, God. David Hogg, what a wanker. But yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the approach they take. It's not going to be nuanced whatsoever. They are absolutely going to... They're going to show America what they stand for, and it's no guns whatsoever. They've taken the mask off, right? They've gone from, we need common sense gun controls to, we just need to ban all guns.
Well, and we talk about the Heller decision often, right? And in the Heller decision, it wasn't perfect. There were some things that I wish had gone better, but it's important always to remember that in the Heller decision, the dissenting opinion was not that there is such a thing as reasonable gun control. The dissenting opinion was there is no individual right to keep and bear arms.
Right.
The opinion of the dissenting judges in Heller was if you are not uniformed military or a uniformed police officer, which is to say there would be no such thing as private armed security agencies. That was the position of the dissenting justices in Heller, that there is no right to own a firearm, and that the ownership and access to firearms is exclusively the realm of government. So you either have to be uniformed law enforcement or uniformed military in order to ever touch a firearm under any circumstances at all.
Right.
And that is psychotic.
That has always been the left's position. It is still the left's position. They just now have to toe the line because of Heller. Every dissenting opinion from this court would state that there's no individual right to own a gun if it were not for Heller, because they still all believe that. We've been lucky, quite frankly. Had the chips fallen another way, guns would have been banned this last decade. You know what I mean? Obviously, if Heller had gone the other way, how long do you think it would have taken for an outright ban on guns? A year?
I'm not so sure about that, because I honestly do think that there's enough cranky old rednecks like me out there that Uncle Sam is going to think twice before actually trying to ban all the guns. It's honestly, it's amazing to me that Democrats still try and run on gun control, because it is the hands down winningest issue that the right has.
Right. Let me ask you this question. It seems strange to me. Sorry, we'll get to that in a second. It seems strange.
I'm going to use my extraordinary power.
Yeah. Oh, is there hey, a second. Yeah. Yeah. Why is bear with me a second. Why is NDI crashed? Let's do this and let me fix NDI real quick, because for some reason that stopped working. Let me get this back up and see. Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Chris. Why do you think that Donald Trump issued this executive order today, and yet he hasn't even floated a name for a director of the ATF? Is it because he has absolutely no intention? I have a feeling the ATF's going to be gone pretty. Why float this before even naming your director of the ATF, right? Everybody's wanted, people have been wanting Brandon Herrera, the AK guy. He ran for Congress in somewhere in Texas. Cam, you may know where. I don't know where.
San Antonio.
Thank you. And people have been suggesting his name for director of the ATF. Trump hasn't even put out a name. He's picked no one. And then all of a sudden he drops this executive order on protecting the Second Amendment.
Yeah,
could we see the ATF gone in a matter of weeks?
God.
They've just extended the deadline for feds to accept this deferred retirement buyout option, which the White House is celebrating right now. Like Cameron said, I don't know that. What number did you give Cameron for deferred retirement? Because I've heard like 60,000
We're at
so
60,000 now.
Yeah, it's a bunch. They're hoping for around at least 200,000 to take advantage, and the ones that don't are just going to get laid off,
get fired.
Yeah.
The OMB estimate said they're expecting between 5 and 10% to accept it. And that's of the 2 million, right? So, but 60,000, we're halfway to the lower end of that estimate.
But why do this? Why call for this plan of action? Once they get it, hand it off to your attorney general, and have nobody at the agency in question to execute to actually execute whatever plan of action they come up with, other than they don't plan on the agency even being there.
Well, see, even if he's determined to to just completely abolish the agency, which I'd be totally comfortable with, and he did say as much. He didn't really run on that, but he has said in the ATF in campaigns, at rallies rather.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
But it seems like you'd still want to put somebody in there. You'd want to put one of your guys in there at the top to take command and control of it.
That's the
start
thing.
by firing problem children.
And that's exactly the thing. The ATF director alone can unravel all of these regulations. It just has to be an order from the ATF director to his subordinates to, hey, unregister that ruling. Right? It's been ruled unconstitutional. All you have to do is unpublish it from the Federal Register. There's
an interesting theory. He's leaving the position open to force them into non-compliance, giving them justification to abolish. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's simpler than that. I think he's going to set the table, and then the person he puts in charge of the ATF is going to be the person who chops it up and distributes whatever, I'm going to use the word useful loosely, but that's going to be the person that chops it up and sells off the useful part. This is a thing that happens in the corporate world. A business is on the brink of failure, so somebody comes in and rescues it, and what they do is they rescue it by chopping it up into smaller pieces and selling it to other businesses. Like that's what's being done. He's setting the table, and the person he puts in charge of it is going to be the person who's in charge of seeing it wind down.
Yeah, and that comment guy says you need to have a boss ramp down the ATF and not just hand the duties over to the FBI. All of it needs to outright end.
Yes.
And Brandon Herrera, who Alex, you just mentioned a second ago, he actually put out a video just a few days ago where the title of which was something like "We should not abolish the ATF." ... Yet.
Right.
And he went and I think he spent a half an hour basically explaining this regulation, this policy, this thing, and this thing. All of these things need to be changed, need to be basically slow walked out to make sure that we get everything done correctly.
To me, the regulations need to be undone before the agency that writes the regulations gets disbanded. Otherwise, again, we're just in a no man's land, right? We're left in limbo again. And there are a ton of regulations that need to go. They need to be taken off the books. They were never passed legislatively, so they can absolutely be removed. They were all done through what is it called? Chevron. It was all Chevron deference, right? Every bit of it was done under the auspice of Chevron.
Well, that's
the worst way to regulate anything. Go ahead. Sorry, Cameron.
No, that's what I think is going to happen. And just a hypothetical scenario, Pam Bondi comes back in 30 days and she says, okay, I've worked with my team and we've identified these 4 key areas that most infringe on an American's right to possess a firearm. And Trump goes, oh, okay, cool. Well, it just so happens that I've got the perfect guy to head up the ATF that just happens to be an expert on working on those 4 very things right there.
Right.
And that's how I think this is going to go.
Do we think that the ATF is just going to be a really difficult confirmation, which is why he wants to get everything out of the way before he throws the wrench into the works by nominating a good dismantler for the ATF?
I think the ATF, whoever is going to have a hard time with it anyway, because it's so loaded. So I think, maybe And I see the point that you're driving at, but I think it wouldn't matter if he nominated somebody today, he nominates somebody 6 months from now, because it's Trump and because it's Trump nominating somebody to lead the ATF. That's going to be a difficult confirmation anyway. So let's lay all the groundwork. Let's let people get over the shock of what is happening to the ATF. That way the person that comes in can do the job of winding it down.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm even floating hypotheses is because I'm honestly genuinely shocked that he has not named his ATF director. I figured it would be he would name his ATF and FBI directors first and foremost, and his attorney general, and rush to get them confirmed. And there hasn't been a peep about the ATF. Initially, it was concerning me. We even discussed it on the show, me and Danielle. I was concerned that he seemed to just be avoiding the ATF entirely. Then today, this EO drops, and then it makes me, it gets me thinking, why do this without a director in place? Unless the plan is to tell the attorney general, just shut it down. We don't need to go through the faff and the fuss and the political turmoil of confirming an ATF director when we can just shut it down based on what we've found here. He's doing a doge to the ATF is what he's doing.
Which I'm good with.
Cam.
Oh, I'm fine with it. As long as they can undo the regulations.
I still think he'll have to nominate somebody. I think all the stuff that you talk about with all these regulations, that'll be left in some sort of limbo. I get what you're going for, and I think it's a good point. But I still think ultimately somebody has to assume the role of chopping it up and distributing whatever pieces might have some value. Like that'll still have to happen.
Yeah, I would hope so. But again, I look at what they're doing with Doge, and these department directors don't appear to be involved in what Doge is doing. They're going in there and they're taking a hatchet to these departments, or a metaphorical hatchet. They're not, I don't believe they're necessarily firing people just yet. They're certainly furloughing people at the moment. Just look at USAID. They've been told stay home, don't come in. Then today, what was it at the, what restricted building were Democrats trying to break into today, where the security guy was just stood at the door preventing them? Was it I think it was education.
I think that was
Department of Education. I think it was the Department of Education. Yeah. Just locking it down and saying, you're not going to you won't be working today. Just go on home. I can see him doing this with the ATF. If he's willing to do it with the Department of Education, if he's willing to do it with AID, just get it done with the ATF. But, and that's the critical point, you can't leave these regulations in limbo. Can the Attorney General deal with that, I wonder? Can the AG
that's a good question, and I don't have a good answer for you.
I mean, the AG, as I understand it, I am no lawyer. I hate reading law. It hurts my brain. But as I understand it, the part of the power of the AG is the discretion.
Okay.
Right. So the AG could say, look, we're not going to prosecute anybody over this because it's bullshit in the first place. But that doesn't mean that the regulations themselves are gone. Like I saw somebody in the comments say that, hey, look, the regulations don't exist.
Yeah, no,
if the agency doesn't exist.
That's exactly. If they're on the Federal Register, then unfortunately they exist. And that would be my understanding. Then the question becomes, who has the authority to remove them from the Federal Register? I'm absolutely certain it's not the President of the United States. These are independent agencies. I would assume it would have to be the Attorney General.
Well, and here's another question that needs to be asked in that same vein. They stay on the register. Let's say the the authorized enforcement agency goes away.
Right.
What becomes scary now is which agency gets to adopt that enforcement power, that enforcement authority.
Yeah.
And of course, in the case of anything related to the ATF, it's going to be the FBI.
It's a good point. We need the animal rights people to speak against the ATF as well. Yeah, they hate pets. The ATF seem to hate pets. I'll tell you that much. Mind you, all cops seem to hate pets. They love shooting them. Oh, I don't know.
I think this is a good thing. So far, Trump has not, he hasn't let me down.
Oh no, I think this is great news. And it's a very good start. It's very well written. I think it certainly addresses our most recent concerns, and it opens the door to going back and I'm going to say relitigating past regulations. Like the Hammer said, why not go back to 1936 or wherever he said, which was that was the National Firearms Act, right? I'm guessing that's what Steve is.
Yeah.
The Hammer is referring to all the way back there. I think that was the National Firearms Act.
Well, when you're chopping down a really big tree, it takes a few swings, and you have to start with the first. And the first couple of times the axe bites into the tree, you don't appear to be doing much damage. Mm-hmm. And I think these are just the first couple of swings.
Well, it's a hell of a tree to topple. I'll tell you what I predicted under Donald Trump when we discussed it. I predicted that I don't think the NFA is going to go away, but I predicted that under Donald Trump, short barrel rifles and suppressors will be brought out from under the NFA. If they're successful in squashing the pistol brace rule, I think that gets us very rapidly one step closer to SBRs being yanked out from under the purview of the NFA. Suppressors, I think they're going to argue, are actually a public safety tool. As they're deemed in every other country except America, they're considered a safe piece of safety equipment. I think there's good things on the horizon under Trump and during Trump's second term. I just hope there's more. I hope the ATF goes away. I hope the NFA goes away. I don't know that it will, or whether it will just come under the purview of somebody else. I don't know. We shall see.
I'm hopeful. I'm very optimistic. I'm very bullish on this. I think I talked about it on my show yesterday a little bit with all the U.S. aid stuff, for example. I've been talking for years about the need to just abolish foreign aid and make every foreign country who believes they have a legitimate need reapply for it. And that's, when I say years, I've been talking about that since I was in high school, and somebody invited me to go to an Amnesty International meeting, and I went in and I was there for about 10 minutes before I was like 16, 17. I didn't know what the hell Amnesty International was. They talked for a few minutes. And I was like, oh, you're a bunch of fucking commies. Well, we're done here. Y'all have a nice day. Good luck with your communism thing, because it always works out great for everybody. But it never in a million years, and it's not something he ran on, occurred to me that Donald Trump was just going to come in and within the first 2 weeks say, you know what? Fuck U.S. aid. Right. Let's shut this shit down. So I'm very optimistic on that front.
It was a bold move.
Let's be real. What he did when he decided we're going to shut down U.S. aid is he essentially declared war on the CIA.
Yeah. He's impressed me so far. I walked through kind of sort of a timeline on our show a couple of weeks ago. Actually, maybe a week ago.
It can't have been more than a couple of weeks ago.
Stuff is happening so fast with this guy, and it was the steps he's taken to dismantle the bureaucracy, and they're quite clever when you look at all the pieces and bring them in as a whole. They're all individual pieces of the pie, starting with his executive order to reclassify bureaucrats as Schedule F employees, right?
Mhm.
Which makes it easier to fire them. Then his crackdown on the regulatory, the agency that funds and regulates federal unions. He cracked down on, he basically locked them out of their offices. So he was able to reclassify employees as Schedule F. Then he shut down or I should say, signed an executive order abolishing I can't remember the name of the agency, but it was the agency that governed the unions. Then he issues his retire or else ultimatum to get rid of, because that's what that is. That's a shot across the bow. It's retire or else. This is Donald Trump setting up the means and the method to dismantle the bureaucracy while removing any roadblocks that are in his way. And it's just clever. And I understand, I get why the left is pulling their hair out right now, because there's nothing they've been able to do to stop this guy.
Right.
Let me see if you guys chat. I'm going to see if I can find what this agency was.
Looking at the executive order, another thing I want to touch on, I see evidence in the language and the structure of this executive order, especially coupled with other news today, that the Donald fully intends to force a real investigation into what happened with the election in 2020. Because, like I pointed out, this executive order explicitly and specifically covers the period of Joe Biden's presidency. Did y'all hear what he did? Did y'all hear the other thing he did to Biden today?
Yes. Oh, hold on. I have that. Here we go. There's no need for Joe Biden to continue receiving access to classified information. Therefore, we are immediately revoking Joe Biden's security clearances and stopping his daily intelligence briefings. He set this precedent in 2021 when he instructed the intelligence community to stop the 45th president of the United States, me, from accessing details on national security, a courtesy provided to former presidents. The Her report revealed that Biden suffers from poor memory and, even in his prime, could not be trusted with sensitive information. I will always protect our national security. Joe, you're fired. Make America great again. I'm glad that I had that pulled up. Yeah, here it is. Here's what he did. He fired 2 members of the Labor Relations Board, which left only 2 members on the board, and it requires 3 to have a quorum. So the NLRB,
So he effectively shut it down.
Yeah, he effectively shut it down without shutting it down. There's nothing they can do about it because he's the one that has to appoint new members so that they can get anything done. In the meantime, they can't get shit done while he's sending out quit or else ultimatums to every federal employee other than law enforcement and the military. It was a power move, dude.
Oh yeah,
brother,
I haven't woken up on the floor. I haven't woken up on the floor for a solid couple of weeks now because I just cannot roll out of bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, reclassify employees, remove their first line of defense, and then tell them all, you better quit or you're going to get fired. It's amazing.
And it's actually a very generous offer.
It's a hell of an offer.
You just keep getting paychecks until September.
Mm-hmm.
Like I might take that offer just to take that offer.
Yeah,
see what's out there.
I think it's a hell of an offer.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Hey, mister, would you like to open would you like to open your new business and become an entrepreneur? Because the government will fund that for you.
Yep. That's what they're doing.
Unless you're just a complete retard, that is what the offer is.
Yeah. I've said over and over, if all he gets done is to dismantle the bureaucracy, I say all, that is that's a massive achievement. But if that's all he's able to accomplish is dismantling the bureaucracy, tearing it down, and even if they have to start to rebuild in 4 years, which hopefully will take them decades, I'll consider that the most successful presidency in the history of America.
Honestly, if the 60,000 who said they're going to take the resignation offer just leave the government, if all he does is shrink the government by 60,000 people, then I will have gotten my money's worth for showing up to vote.
That's right.
But God, just win.
And the beauty of it is Democrats don't know what to do. All Democrats can do right now is stand outside of government buildings and scream and stage, by their own definition, stage an insurrection by trying to drag protesters into restricted government buildings.
Correct. Yeah. To their credit, I'll say, to their credit, we haven't seen a lot of firebombs out of them this time around, but
they don't have the USAID money for it anymore.
Exactly.
Well, they have
George Soros standing back. He's like, "I've also sent you the cocktails, but you switched off the laundromat."
We played some clips last night. I'm going to play them for you. Let's start with this one.
Oh, but I do have this question for any of the Democrats.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We'll get back to that. Go ahead.
I do have this question for any of the Democrats out there. What happened to the peaceful transfer of power? Wasn't that like your whole thing?
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at what Democrats are up to. Because you're saying, where are the riots? Well, I think they're coming.
Anytime a person can pay $250 million into a campaign and they be given full access to the Department of Treasury of the United States of America,
I got to start from the beginning.
We will not take this. We will fight back. And as I close out, because I know
we will fight back,
we are going to fight it. Legislatively, we are going to fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets.
It's the same rhetoric that we heard when BLM was on the rise. It's the exact same rhetoric from the Democrat politicians that we heard back then that led to the mass riots that we saw here in America. They're doing it again. Now, granted, BLM isn't there under that old moniker, but the same old activists, the same old terrorists are still there, and they're ready to go. And I've been reading a number of reports of organizations, people that align with organizations like Antifa, that have been going out and actually getting trained, properly trained for a fight. And yeah, it's kind of crazy what they've been up to.
Don't tell me that.
Oh, but yeah, I know. I mean, don't threaten me with a good time. But then also, again, you talk about the same old Democrat playbook.
Yep.
I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done.
Now, I wasn't aware that dastardly deeds were the bar for impeachment. I thought it was high crimes and misdemeanors. But hey, what the hell? Dastardly deeds, go for it. Have at it.
Well,
but this is the same Democrat playbook we saw the last time: incite people to violence, incite people to riot, and then we're going to impeach this guy.
And he said for dastardly deeds. Now, I know he also said for dastardly deeds done, but he said for dastardly deeds proposed.
Yeah. Yeah. The rule of law doesn't matter to these people.
Right.
It just doesn't matter. They push for convictions of innocent men and women for entering a restricted building, and then they go out and do stuff like this.
So we are
Well,
here to enter the building, and so we can hear firsthand from whoever is here at AID, or at least witness firsthand what is happening with this Elon Musk attempted takeover, which will not stand. We will prevail. Let's go.
That's Democrat leadership leading or attempting to lead a group of protesters into a government restricted building. The same crime, the same act of insurrection by their not my definition, their definition, the same act of insurrection that 99% of January 6th protesters were charged and convicted of.
Let me throw you a little bit of pushback on that claim, Alex. I think you'll enjoy this. Those are currently seated government representatives.
Yep.
Unlike the protesters at January 6th, who are afforded armed security, who are also government employees. So what you are looking at there is not an insurrection. What you're looking at there is an attempted military coup, being conducted by active and armed members of the United States government.
Mm-hmm.
What should be happening is Secret Service should be opening fire on them because they are conducting an armed, not insurrection. They are conducting a military coup with the objective of establishing a Democrat junta.
Yeah, I mean, if that were Republicans or anyone even remotely on the right, they would be all over it, calling it insurrection and, trying to overthrow the government. How dare they? But because it's Democrats, they get away with it. It's not people.
Oh yeah, we'd be 6 weeks away from a big fat black Capitol Police officer going on to Oprah to talk about what a hero he is for killing Air Force veterans.
Yes, that's exactly where we would be. But that's the Democrats' playbook because they have nothing else. And the things that cost them the election, they're doubling and tripling down on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I see.
Guys, go ahead. Yeah. I was just saying, no, guys, go ahead. Keep
doing it. Absolutely. Keep it up. Because
exactly. Don't interrupt the enemy when he's making a mistake.
Yeah. Like the Hammer said, hopefully we get President Vance after this. And if Democrats keep doing what they're doing, we will absolutely get a President Vance after this. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, the Second Amendment, Donald Trump, again, only time will tell. My prediction, you heard it here tonight. I reckon within a couple of weeks, the ATF's going to be gone. I'll say a couple of months. I think Donald Trump's plan is to just shut it down, get this report done, hand it off to his AG and say, shut it down, which is why he hasn't even bothered naming an ATF director yet, but we'll see.
I like that theory.
That's probably just wishful thinking, but we'll see.
I think the only thing, and I think the only thing you're incorrect about is how quickly it will happen. I still think there will be somebody that gets named to the position, but they get named to the position to chop it up and get rid of it.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that too. You have a very friendly follower in the chat there, Cameron.
Cheeseburger, I ain't seen you in a hot minute, brother. Where you been?
Very, very friendly friend in the chat there.
One day we're going to figure out who that is in real life because I don't honestly know.
Really? Well, thank you for tuning in, Z Cheeseburger Merv. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this little simulcast between TPS Report and the Brushfire Mind. Again, neither of us actually go live on a Friday night, so I'm surprised we had any kind of an audience, to be honest with you, because I mean we're not Tim Pool. You know what I mean? We don't have his kind.
Right.
Speaking of which, go ahead. You were on Tim Pool's show here recently, right, Chris? Tell us what happened there.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. And yeah, actually that was a lot of fun. So I've got a Timcast membership because, for the same reason I've got subscriptions to some, like Steven Crowder, et cetera.
Sure.
Daily Wire. And if I'm being honest, I pay for those subscriptions And I frankly don't watch a lot of their stuff that's behind the paywall, just because I've only got so much time in a day. But I want to support what those guys are doing, and that's reason enough to throw a little money at them. But yeah, so part of, if you're a member of the of Tim Pool's show, if you're paying the membership fee, which is like I think it's that one's $10 a month, you get access to his Discord server, and they do an uncensored after show after their live show every night, where they do call-ins for the schmucks out in the audience like myself.
Right.
And I got in on the call-in show one night, and had a good time cutting up with them on air for about 10 minutes. And I didn't know this when I went into the call-in show, they have an after show that's
the super ultra double secret
exactly.
after show.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's like, Tim and Phil and all those guys are done for the night. They're going home and going to bed. And some of the other guys, some of the staff, some of the producers and stuff, they do like a whole separate show from like 11 to 1 or something. And that show, they bring in whoever called in that night. So I hadn't even planned on it. I called in because I wanted to ask a question and plug the Brushfire Mind. And I see Be Controversial's watching tonight. That's where I pulled Be Controversial in to watch our show, and he says that he where is it? There it is. He says I paused Tim Pool for this, which is awesome, and we appreciate you watching.
We do. Danny and I do something. I guess somewhat similar to that. We have, we have our community over on Locals where we get our show supporters, and every now and then we'll do a Zoom thing with them. We'll do a Zoom meetup with with show supporters, and those are always fun because what that is us getting extraordinarily boozy and telling stories is what that is. And it's a blast. It's a riot. We haven't done one of those for a little while. I guess, I think it's been about 6 months. We'll probably have to have one of those coming up. We'll invite you two to the next one.
Man, the last time I even got drunk was on air with you guys.
With us? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember if that was when Rush passed away or the big New Year's live stream. I don't remember which of those happened first. Cameron,
Merv wants to know if you have a Patreon. He doesn't, but he does have an OnlyFans, Merv. So you can go. It's I believe it's what is it? Cam on an OnlyFans. You can find him over there. I think you're muted, brother. I think you muted yourself. But yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
I was on Redacted recently. Don't know if either of y'all saw that. I'm friends with the guys. Well, their producer David Foster over there, and we had that fire here in Conyers. You remember? So I went on Redacted to talk about that. That was fun being on their show. It's always nice. It's always nice to get on a big show, isn't it? Get out there and hopefully try and get some subscribers. Speaking of which, go subscribe to the Brushfire Mind on any of the platforms. They're on Rumble, they're on X, they're on Facebook. Those are the three you're focusing on right now, isn't it, Chris? Rumble, X, and Facebook.
Facebook less so. We actually haven't been on Facebook lately. You and I were talking earlier about the difference between Restream and this and Rumble Studio.
Yeah.
Rumble Studio has been disconnected from Facebook for a couple of weeks, and in fairness, I haven't been doing much with Facebook anyway. Like we've been streaming to Facebook for 10 years, but I don't really pay attention to it.
See,
our primary focus is I want to grow the audience on YouTube to tell people to get off of YouTube and go watch us somewhere else.
Yeah. I obviously would love all of our audience to be over on Rumble. We've been off of Facebook for, I don't know, 2-3 years. We came off of it pardon me, we came off of it voluntarily because of because of all the censorship that was taking place.
Right.
Here just recently, Zuckerberg did his about face, and so we said, you know what? We'll try Facebook again. We've been back on there now for a couple of weeks, and my reasoning was we're going to test how free speech friendly Facebook actually is. And I don't know. It's been okay so far. I do believe we are still shadow banned on Facebook, though. But I can't prove that just yet.
Well, keep calling David Hogg a faggot. You'll figure out where the boundaries are real quick.
Well, yeah, but he's a faggot. I mean, I'm simply calling a spade or a fag, if you prefer.
Actually, let me check real quick. Oh yeah, we're still on YouTube. This right now is running on YouTube.
Yeah, because the algorithm isn't going to catch it while it's live. So it'll be after it's live that your strikes get handed down. And it'll be interesting to see if it actually happens, because they don't like the F word over there on YouTube. We were banned.
They do not.
And I've started using it recently because I said, you know what, I'm bringing it back. It's too good of a word to bench. So I don't use it at all in regard to the gay community, right? The LGB community. Can't add the T to it anymore. That's a crime. So yeah, because I have absolutely no problem. I have a bunch of friends that are gay. I have absolutely no problem with I have absolutely no problem with the gay community. I feel for them having hitched their wagon to the key T community, which is just dragging them down into the sewers. But yeah, I have no problem with the gay community. But faggot is just too good of a word to bench, and I'm bringing it back. And
I've been doing the same thing with the word retard.
Yes, yeah, fag and retard. You know what? I'm a Gen Xer. I don't give a shit if it offends people. Too bad. But yeah, we got banned from YouTube years ago. Not even for that. We got banned. Right. we got banned for sharing memes. Oh yeah, fucking YouTube. We'll never go back there. Even if they change their rules, I'm not going back to ever going back to YouTube. I reckon that's it.
Yeah,
I would agree.
It's just no. You're only sorry. I was wrong about the name of Cameron's OnlyFans. It's actually just for Merv. It's not Cam. It's just for Merv. Is what it is. So yeah, go find Cameron over on OnlyFans.
Merv, it's an OnlyFans page. He does a great Kitara cosplay.
I don't even know what that is, but I'm gonna say yes. Yes, he does. I have no idea what that is. You used to do what was when you wore the leather jacket with the long hair? Who was that cosplaying? What's that guy's name on Twitch? Asmongodd or something like that. What's his name?
I'm older than those guys. I was wearing a leather jacket and had long hair before some of the dudes were even born.
I was doing that long before you, bro. Knock it off. Yeah. We miss you every day. Oh, Chris is gone. We do miss you every day. I got to tell you, Cameron, over on the, where are you? There we go. Over on the, because you're not there each morning now. You're there. Do you have a schedule so that people know what mornings you're going to be on the BFM? Or is it play it by ear?
I'm typically there Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay. Tuesdays and Fridays. You can catch Chris, obviously, every morning, 7:30-ish over on the BFM. You can get Danielle and I here on, go to Rumble, I would say, on Mondays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. Want to thank everybody for, let's see if Chris is back. No, he isn't. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Cameron, thank Chris for us. Thank you for coming on, talking about the executive order. And I think we're going to wrap this up, yeah? Have I lost you as well?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just reading the comments.
Okay.
We've incited them. So
yes. What, over on, are you still on YouTube?
No, just stuff like that right there. Like just.
Why don't you bring them up on screen, man? Bring them up. These are your fans talking. Your only fans are talking to you. They want to hear from you. You got to highlight them. You got to highlight them on Kick. Here's one. Kick is where the hype is at the moment. We did a couple of shows on Kick before one of their moderators came by and said, you guys might need to tone it down. And so I said, you know what? I'm not going to bother with Kick either. I can't tone it down. You know me, right, Cam?
Right.
I can't tone it down. We don't say anything illegal, but we can be a little bit spicy, and I'm okay with that. You know what? Chris is gone. He's not going to be able to say goodnight to y'all, so I'll say it for him. Brushfire Mind, weekday mornings, 7:30 a.m. We appreciate him coming on, Cameron. Always a pleasure having you. Is he back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
There he is. Where'd you go? I was just saying goodnight on your behalf.
And I appreciate it. Hey guys, great show. Thanks for having us on. Brushfire Mind every weekday morning, 07:30 Eastern Standard Time. We love you, and we'll see you Monday.
Yep, we're out of here, guys. Appreciate it. Love you. Take care. Adios.